Welcome to the Refine and Shine, the podcast dedicated to mastering the art of continuous improvement and optimizing every aspect of your life. I'm Angelina Rivera, your host, and together we'll uncover the secrets to refining our lives, our habits, and our processes to unlock our inner brilliance. Join us on Refine and Shine, where we'll delve deep into achieving more in life without the burnout and without all the stress. This podcast is your platform for a more fulfilling life through continuous improvement and personal growth. In each episode, I and a diverse array of guests discuss practical strategies for up-leveling every aspect of your life. From developing good habits and organizing your space to refining your mindset and personal goals, we're going to explore it all. Our guests share personal stories about the systems they've developed or systems they've used and the tweaks they've made in their lives when refinement was needed, allowing them to truly shine. Listen to Refine and Shine to learn how you can implement continuous improvement techniques in your daily routine, develop and maintain healthy habits that lead to success and satisfaction, organize your life to reduce the stress and increase your productivity, foster a growth mindset that propels you to new heights. My mission is to inspire you to take bold action, make positive changes, and become the best version of yourself. Whether you're aiming to elevate your career, nurture meaningful relationships, or enhance your overall well-being, Refine and Shine is your guiding light. With over 25 years of experience in continuous improvement, I help businesses streamline their processes, establish efficient work areas, and implement standard work protocols. I have trained over 600 individuals and teams in process improvement, optimizing workflows, and enhancing overall operational efficiency. Tune in every week as we embark on an enlightening journey, exploring paths to refinement and illuminating the way to shine in every area of our lives. Subscribe now and join us on this journey to polish your life and let your best self shine through. Thank you for joining us on Refine and Shine. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Refine and Shine. I am so excited because my guest today has been on my podcast before. She was when we had the Dolled Up Effect panel. My guest is Sarah Carter, and I am so excited just to do this one-on-one with her because we were talking for almost close to 20 minutes. I'm like, we got to record this podcast, girl. She is a wealth of information. She is a health coach helping busy women create a sustainable, healthy lifestyle through fitness and nutrition. And what I love about her is that she doesn't just talk the talk, like she walks the walk. And so you guys need to follow her, but we'll start getting into the conversation. Thank you, Sarah, for being here today.
Thank you, Angelina, for having me. It is such a privilege to be on your show today.
Thank you so much. What I love is that you have so much energy. And I just wanted to know, is that because you take so much good care of your health, or like, have you always been this energetic person?
Oh, that is a great question. So I to be fully transparent, there are days when I do not have energy. And I did have an afternoon coffee before this call, which I try to stick to just one in the morning, but every now and then I'll have an afternoon coffee. But in general, I do have pretty high energy, and I definitely credit that to living a healthy lifestyle, continuing to move my body consistently, fueling it with healthy foods. So, and I would say probably even growing up, I was pretty high energy. I was into sports as a kid, and I love to be active. It's hard for me to stay still for too long. So I would say probably high energy is something I've experienced for most of my life, but there are definitely days when it is a little bit low and I need a little extra caffeine.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that we all have those days, right? And I think,
Yes.
what I love though is that you've had this you've been doing this all your life, like kind of keeping healthy, having movement, activity. And people think like when you're so tired, I see it a lot of times. People are like, oh, I just need a rest. I mean, rest is good. We all need a rest. But when you're tired, sometimes you just need to go outside and get some sunshine. You need to like revitalize, go for a walk, and that energy will come back.
Yes.
And
I always like to remind people like movement begets movement. So a lot of times, just like you said, when we're feeling tired or lethargic, honestly, if we just can get up and start moving, stretch, take a walk, like the energy will come. even like with, if you're struggling to start working out, like I'll tell people, if you just get started like that, get past that mental block within, like, I would say 2 to 3 minutes, like the warm up, like the body will catch on and that energy will start coming.
I think that that's so important. And
It's
so
so true.
I would love to talk with you to share, like you're a fitness coach, you help people with moving their bodies and nutrition. So can you tell us about your business and how you got into it and all of those things?
Yes, absolutely. So, like you shared in the beginning, I work with women and I help them with their nutrition and their fitness. So, I'm a certified personal trainer and sports nutritionist. So, I can help people with one or the other or both, depending on their needs. I do custom plans, custom workout plans, custom nutrition plans. I also offer group coaching where we do fitness challenges that are a lot of fun. I've had a lot of good feedback for those. It's funny how motivating a little friendly competition can be. So I've had really great feedback about the challenges. So I do the fitness challenges. And then I do also teach at a local gym. I love teaching group fitness. And here down in the Atlanta metro area, I teach a strength training class and yoga once a week. So I love doing that. And how I got started, gosh, let's see, where do I begin? I don't want to take up too much time talking about that, but I will say, I've always been very passionate about fitness. As a teenager, I ran cross country in school and I fell in love with running. And then later in high school, I started dabbling in weightlifting and I grew to really love that as well. I would say movement and regular activity was always part of my life. I came from an active family. So I'm grateful for that. And I think that getting kids involved in sports is so, so beneficial because if they can start those habits early in life, it can carry over so much easier to adulthood. So I definitely am grateful for that. And then as far as the nutrition side of things, I struggled with an eating disorder as a teenager, and it caused a lot of health problems. And it was definitely something that kept me stuck for a really long time. I had this fear of food. And when I was, probably my late 20s, I think, is when I finally started to learn about nutrition. And I found that the more I learned and understood how my body worked, and what types of foods would fuel my body and would help me get not only like results that I wanted, but would make me feel good and support me. The fear started to fade as the more that I learned, and I began to see food from a place of function in my life instead of fear. And I found so much freedom in that. And the fear around food just started to melt away. And so when I started thinking about my business, I really wanted to be able to help others see that you don't have to be afraid of food. You don't have to worry about every little thing you're putting in your body. Once you learn how to give it what it needs, everything just flows. And so that's kind of where the passion comes from in these areas. And I started my business about 2.5 years ago because I have been in the finance and accounting world for my whole adult life, basically, and it's just not my passion. I don't like sitting at a desk all day. Numbers they don't excite me, and I wanted to do something to help people and also something that I enjoy. I was looking at all the time. I'm spending 40 plus hours a week behind a desk doing something I'm not passionate about. And I was like, you know what? I would love to be able to wake up and do something that I love, do something that can help others, that can make a difference. And so that's when I decided to get all my certifications and launch my business. It was the fall of 23 that I officially started.
I think that that's so important that you have been through this whole, always been active and everything. But I love the part that you talked about is that you were struggling yourself with food. And because you were struggling with yourself, you decided to educate yourself, and then that got into the nutrition certifications and things like that.
Yes, yes,
And I also love the part where you said, I just forgot what I was going to say. It
yeah,
was a part, there was something that you said, oh, weights. So I love that you said that you started weightlifting when you were in high school, because I have just recently, I've always heard like you shouldn't lift weights as females and you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. But
yes.
the older that I get, and I found that you actually should be lifting weights, and maybe we're not doing enough weightlifting as we age. And so can you kind of tell us a little bit about, like, you've been weightlifting for a long time, and what's too much weight? How often should we do weightlifting? Educate us on that.
Yes, Angelina, that's a great question. It's so funny you asked that because I was literally just thinking about that today, how I hear a lot of people, women in particular, say that they are hesitant to lift weights because they don't want to get bulky. And let me just share with you and anyone that's listening, to get bulky, you would have to lift an insane amount of weight. Your program would have to be very specific, very strictly followed. Your nutrition would have to be dialed in just so in order to get bulky. So it is not easy to get bulky. So it doesn't happen by accident. But to your point, lifting is so valuable for women and men alike, and especially as we age, for so many reasons. Just a couple off the top of my head. One of the biggest ones is that as we age, our bone density starts to decrease, which I'm sure we all have either know someone or have heard of people. As we get old, our bones become more brittle and they can break because that bone density is less. However, strength training helps to bring that bone density back up, which to me is just incredible how our bodies are made and how that can actually help to strengthen your bones and keep them from becoming so brittle as we age. Another thing, a lot of people say that as we get older, our metabolism slows down. And the more science and research has shown it's not that our metabolism really slows down, but as we age, we do lose muscle mass. And our muscle mass is directly related to our metabolism. So yes, as we're getting older, we may have a slower metabolism, but that's not just because we're getting older. That's probably because we're losing muscle mass. So incorporating strength training regularly into your workout routine, at least 2 to 3 times a week, I encourage people, is just so vital, and it helps in just so many different things.
I think that that's important, and thank you for that. And as you were saying that, I was thinking, if one of the things I look at when I go on the scale, which I've also had, like, I used to be so underweight, and then I got way overweight. And so it's like you kind of have this like love-hate relationship with the scale. But now I don't just look at the number of the scale. I have one of those scales that like looks at my muscle mass,
Yes,
my body, my body water, all of those
yes.
different things. And I look at those numbers more than I look at the total number on the scale, because I kind of track it and I do a comparison, and I'm like, okay, if my muscle weight is decreasing, what do I need to do? I need to move some more, lift, for example, to build that muscle weight up. And sometimes the number on the scale could be just, it's like I'm not looking. My goal is to decrease my fat and move up the muscle number, and so that's kind of what I do as well.
That is, I'm glad you said that. You're so on top of everything, girl. Because that's what I encourage my clients to do, is to get a smart scale. And that's what I use. I think it was like $25 on Amazon.
Mhm.
And it's so important to be able to see what is in your total weight, because muscle is a lot denser than fat. So you could actually be shrinking in size if you're increasing your muscle mass, and you can still be losing fat, but that total weight might not be going down as much as you would think because you're increasing your muscle. So it's seeing what's in that overall number is so, so important, especially if you're on a fat loss journey. I love that you're using that. And I highly recommend those scales to anyone that is on a weight loss journey, because it's just so much more insightful and helpful to track it that way.
And I also love that you talked about running. So I used to run off and on throughout my life, and I love it. And I think it's a way for me to kind of escape in
Yes,
a way. You can
yes,
just run. Yeah.
I agree.
But one of the things is how often should we be doing cardio versus like the weightlifting? So the weightlifting we should do at least 2 to 3 times a day. I mean, 2 to 3 times a week. But how often should we do cardio? And like, what's the kind of best mixture for us?
Oh, that's a great question. So I am a big believer in balance in everything in life. We can't. I know that can be challenging to be balanced in every area, but I do my best to live a balanced life. And so when it comes to working out, I like to suggest with my clients to do at least 2 to 3 days of strength training. So, and we're talking like 30 to 45 minute sessions, nothing really long. You don't have to have an hour. And then at least 2 to 3 days of cardio. So that can be, I love to walk. I don't run anymore, but I love to walk with my weighted vest. So I'll try to do that like 2 days a week at least for about, again, like 40, 45 minutes or whatever time you have. So I like to have it just to kind of, in a nutshell, at least 2 to 3 days of strength training and then 2 to 3 days of cardio. It's kind of the mix I recommend because like the recommended guidelines are at least 150 minutes per week of exercise, which if you break that down, that's like 30 minutes a day. So to kind of have a good balance between the cardio and strength training is good because we do need both. They both have different impacts, and to do both of them gives us just a really well-rounded routine.
Well, I think that's really good, and I think that everybody, and I can tell you, and if you can't make that time, you need to talk to me as a time management coach because
Yes,
we all can find time to do that, and you
yes,
can break it up to like because something is better than nothing, and so if you can do maybe
exactly.
15 minutes here and 15 minutes there, like just
Yes.
incorporate that because we have like one life, right, one body, and we need to treat it the best that we can, and get that self-care movement in. Like that's what when people come to me and they say, oh, I don't have time, I'm like, give me a couple of days, let's do a time audit. um
Yes.
and then when we start to see where they're wasting some time at, I also, when we go to scheduling their calendar, I say the first thing that you do on your calendar is you schedule that self-care. That,
Yes.
I'm not talking about getting your nails done or anything like that. I'm
Nope.
talking about getting that workout. And then also when you're going to eat, what are you going to eat? Like figure those things out because if we put ourselves last on the calendar, we're teaching our family that we're not a priority and they're going to grow up, modeling that behavior as well. And so we need to, do that as well.
Amen, girl. I tell everyone that I work with, you have to schedule that time. Like that is the only way it's going to happen. And like you said, you have to get that time for you on the calendar. It's just so vital. It's really the only way.
Hmm.
Is your business constantly busy, but still inefficient? If your team is working hard but things keep falling through the cracks, it's not a people problem, it's a process problem. This is where Refine Consulting comes in. I help businesses simplify operations and build systems that actually work. Here's how I do it, in just a few days. First, we get clarity. We identify where your time, energy, and money are being wasted. Then, we map your process, step by step, so you can actually see what's happening. Next, we simplify. We cut out delays, redundancies, and anything that's slowing you down. Then we build a system your team can follow, so everything doesn't depend on you. And finally, we implement, so you walk away with a clear plan and real results. No more guessing, no more chaos, just better systems. If you're ready to streamline your business and get your time back, go to refineconsultingllc.com and book your free discovery call. Let's refine your processes and help you shine.
When you talked about the weighted vest, so I see, like you shouldn't do the weighted vest, you should do the weighted vest. Like there's all these things back and forth. But what if somebody is to go and get a weighted vest? What is the best one that you I know that there's all kinds of ones on Amazon, but like how do they find the right number? Like there's either like the 6 pounder, the 12 pounder, the 18. Like what would be the best one for somebody starting out?
Oh, that's a great question. So the one that I have, yes, I just got it off Amazon, but I think the first one that I ever had was from Target. It honestly, it doesn't really matter so much what kind you get. You want to get one that's comfortable for you to wear, but the weight definitely matters. So I would suggest to someone that's just starting out to get um, gosh, I'm not sure what the lowest one is. I think it might start at 8 pounds, but get something on the lower end. If you're new to wearing the weighted vest, get something on the lower end, and then just start walking with that. You can jog with them on. I would just caution anyone that's just starting out to maybe start with walking, just because it's heavy and it feels kind of weird, and it can, if you try to jog with it, it can kind of throw you off balance. So if you feel any off balance, just start walking with it. And then if it gets to a point where you're walking 30, 45 minutes with that vest on and you're not out of breath and you're like, man, this is easy, I can do this. That's when you know it's time to go up. But with weightlifting and weighted vest alike, my general rule of thumb is start low, start small. You want to have proper form no matter what exercise you're doing. Proper form is always number one, because we do not want to get injured. And then learn to do it really good at a lighter weight before increasing the weight.
Such good tips. I think that's so important, because I see sometimes people just want to hurry up, like, oh, if I have the heavier weighted vest, I'm going to burn more calories. And it's like, well, are you going to injure yourself because you're not doing proper form, even running with it? You're not, you have to make sure that you have the proper shoes, and all of these other things will have to come into play.
And another thing with the weighted vests that I would caution people against going too heavy too soon is, you want to be careful of your back. If it's too heavy, you can put strain on your back. If your core is not supporting you, and we don't want the lower back pain. So yeah, definitely starting small is the way to go.
So I think that I know you're providing some really great tips, and I'm even gonna start, getting some more weight training into my schedule.
Yes.
When I work on my calendar on Sunday. But one of the things I wanted to ask you too is, when it comes to eating, is there how many, do you count calories, or do you just make sure that you're having proper nutrition, and things like that? And when's the best time to eat in the morning, and when's the best time to eat? How late at night should we be eating? If you can provide us some tips on that.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. So I am not currently counting calories. Counting calories is super helpful, and I do that if I have a really specific goal, like if I'm trying to lean out or whatever. But I haven't counted calories in a while. I did it for a long time to really learn what foods I needed to support my goals. But what I do now that I recommend, especially to someone who's just starting out trying to improve their nutrition, number one is to make sure you're getting enough protein, and because most of us are, in myself included, are lacking in the amount of protein that we're getting. As a general rule of thumb, we really need a gram of protein per pound of our body weight or our goal weight. So let's just say, for example, someone wants to get to 150 pounds. They need to be eating 150 grams of protein per day, just as a general rule of thumb. And that's a lot of protein. It can be really challenging to get that much. But it helps you kind of have an idea of what to aim for. So I suggest to people, if they're trying to, get started, excuse me, is to just start by tracking your protein. You don't even need to write it down. You can. There's lots of apps available now to track what you're eating. And don't worry about the calories. Just try to hit that protein goal. Number one, that will help you feel full longer. You'll be more satiated throughout the day. And as kind of a side effect, you then won't be eating as much of the other stuff that might not be supporting your goals. And another big one, especially for women, that I encourage people to focus on is fiber. We need at least 25 grams of fiber per day. And that's another one that can be challenging to get. And, but that just really helps, especially as we get older as women. That helps balance our hormones. Fiber is one of those nutrients that's it's sneaky yet powerful. It's a powerful little thing. And a lot of stuff can really be out of whack when we're not getting enough fiber. So those are the two things I encourage people to focus on first: getting enough protein and getting enough fiber. And then once, you get comfortable with that and you learn what foods fit into those categories, then you can introduce maybe some calorie counting or tracking everything. But so that's kind of how I do it. I found the meals. Oh, and another tip is once you know like what protein you need, and you're tracking your total calories, but figure out 2 to 3 meals that fit those calorie or nutrition goals and just eat them on repeat. That's what I do because as I'm sure you understand as well, being a busy woman, like we don't have time for all these fancy things, So I just have figured out what I need to eat. I figured out what foods I need to get there, and I just eat those on repeat. Like if I showed you guys what I eat in a day every day, it's boring. It's the same thing all day, every day, but it works. And so, I feel like there was you had asked about meal timing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great question. And I hear a lot of people asking about that, especially when there's a lot of like intermittent fasting is a big deal. I feel like a lot of people are talking about that. And so what I would say for meal timing, depending on your goal, like let's say your goal is weight loss. The number one rule for weight loss, in my opinion and from my experience, is calories in needs to be less than calories out. So it does come down to our total daily consumption, no matter what time of the day. As long as you are consuming less calories than you are burning, the weight should go down. However, there are some instances where timing can have an effect. It's more in those cases where you have someone that has like insulin sensitivities. They may be pre-diabetic, diabetic, where the timing of our foods and when we're eating certain nutrients around others can have an impact, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that that's important. And I love how you said it. Like, if it doesn't matter kind of when you're eating, as long as you are not eating over the calories that you're
Yes,
not, that you're burning.
exactly.
And also with if there's like a sugar balance or sugar issues and things like that, like making sure you're tracking your sugars right accordingly and eating it at a proper schedule, or, because you don't want to keep spiking your sugar or things like that. One of the
Exactly.
things I wanted to ask you, and you talked about fiber. So I'm really good with the protein. I think I am. Like, I found what works for me, and I'm just like you. Like, I might be doing the same protein shake with my spinach and cacao and all the other
Yep.
things, all avocado, banana on repeat, but it works. It's simple.
Yep.
And I love that you said, like, once you find the foods, like for me, it's like a time management like thing. Like, I already know what I'm going to buy. I know how to outline it on the groceries. I know what grocery store has the things I need. So I'm like, it just makes life easier. But
does.
the fiber is something that I didn't even think about. And I'm like, I can't even think right now on the top of my head, what would be something that would have fiber in it?
Oh, that's a great question. And I had to research it myself once I started realizing I'm not getting enough fiber. I'm like, well, what in the world should I be eating? Because my first thought goes to things like bread, or what is that cereal, shredded wheat, or oatmeal and stuff like that. But really, like, the best sources of fiber that I found are definitely your vegetables, broccoli, asparagus, Brussels sprouts, peas, beans. Oh my gosh, beans, legumes are an excellent source of fiber. Fruits, there's fruit, like, let's see, papaya, pineapple, kiwi. I went through a smoothie phase where I would make smoothie and I would put kiwi with the skin on. And I know that sounds disgusting, or maybe you or your listeners eat kiwi with the skin on. I always thought you had to peel a kiwi, but you actually don't. I would just cut the butts off the end and chop it up with the skin on after washing it. I think there's about, I can't remember. I think it's at least 4 grams of protein in a kiwi with the skin on. It's not protein, fiber, excuse me, with the skin on. So that's another great source of fiber. Also, chia seeds are very high in fiber. I think 1 tablespoon I shouldn't be trying to quote these numbers this late in the day. But I think 1 tablespoon might have a 10, might be 10 grams. I can't remember, but they are high in fiber. But I know with chia seeds, if you're going to put them in a smoothie, you want to soak them in about a cup of water for at least 1 or 2 hours to get them. They turn into kind of a gel form for maximum absorption. So those are very high in fiber. Trying to think, there are, breads and grains that have some fiber, but the best source that at least from my experience, have been the fruits, vegetables, legumes, that type of thing.
Yeah, that's so important. And so, like, as you're saying those, I'm like, okay, yeah, I love pineapple. I love some of the, asparagus and things like that. I'm not allowed to make Brussels sprouts in the house anymore because I made it with.
Yeah, I get that.
But like when I go out to eat, I'll get Brussels sprouts.
Yeah, I actually don't mind them.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, they're good.
You just got to be very careful on how you cook them and how it makes the house smell.
Yes, so make sure you're not having anyone over for a little while.
Yeah. But no, like I was thinking, like, and like even kiwi, like my husband loves kiwi, and I'm like always like, oh, that's his fruit. I'm gonna let him eat it, but I'm like, no, I'm gonna eat it too. That way, I get that fiber and stuff like that. I think that's important.
Yes. And also one other one is sweet potato. Sweet potato is high in fiber, and if you can eat the skin, even better.
Yeah, I've kind of recently started to learn to love sweet potato, and I know it sounds weird, but I put sauerkraut on it, and it tasted really good with some chicken.
Ooh,
yeah,
that sounds excellent. I haven't tried that before. I'm going to have to do that. That sounds really good. Do you put anything else or just the sauerkraut on top?
Just the sauerkraut.
Oh, that sounds so good.
I never would have thought that those two combinations would go together. And I didn't really just the whole thing of sauerkraut sounded weird to me. And then I was just like, let me try it. But I didn't do the red sweet potato. I did the the yellowish sweet potato.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is still a sweet potato. It's just a different color.
Exactly.
Yeah. But that's how I was able to get stuff in. So
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah. So I love all the things that you provided to us. You provided us so much information, but I would love to know, like, you have all these ways that people can work with you. And I wanted to know, like, if they don't have to necessarily be in Georgia, but you do virtual training and all of these things, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's actually the primary way that I work with people is virtually. I do, some in-person things, but majority is in-person. It was virtual so that I can work with people anywhere.
Yes, good. Because, this podcast goes out, I think it's like, I don't know, 35 plus countries. And so people, if you're out there listening and you're in Australia or New Zealand or wherever you're at, like, she may not answer right away because of the time difference, but just get in touch with her.
Yes, and actually, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up because just to mention, when I do work with people virtually, the way it works is through this really cool app where I program their workouts for them and schedule them on whatever days they tell me they want to do their workout. So it's already scheduled for them. They just need it, and they just get up and they do it on their own time is when they actually do their workout. So they could be working out, at the 4 a.m. my time, whatever time it is there, and still get their workout in. And then when I get up, I can see what they've done. So it's so flexible. I love the flexibility of the app that I use for the virtual coaching.
Oh, I think that's so awesome. And so that way it takes away the excuses. Oh, I can't work with her because we're in a different time zone. No, stop those excuses.
Yep, there are no excuses.
And so as we wrap up, though, I would love to know, like, what is the best way? Like, I'm going to make sure I provide all your links in the show notes, but what is the best way if somebody is listening right now and they really want to get in touch with you? What would be the number one way to get in touch with you right now?
I would say through my Calendly link. They can just click on that and schedule a call with me and we can chat. I would say that's probably the best way. I'm also I'm on Instagram a lot, so I'm always checking my DMs. So that would be another really quick way if maybe they aren't ready to schedule a call, but they just want to send a quick question. Instagram is a great way to do that as well.
Okay, right. I will definitely make sure that, like I said, I'll have all the links in the show notes, and so that way they can connect with you. And you've provided me so many different links, so that's awesome. So that if somebody's scared and like, okay, maybe I just want to watch her on Instagram for a little bit, then I'll click on the Calendly link and then connect with her.
Yes, absolutely.
And so as we wrap up, the last question I want to ask you is, what can somebody do today? What type of action, whether it's movement, a book to read, getting in their protein, I don't know, whatever you want to tell them
Yes.
today, what is something that they can do today in order to help them refine and shine?
So, in thinking about that question, the first thing that came to mind is to schedule that time for yourself and to know that it is not selfish. It is so important to make yourself a priority because it's just, especially like as women, I feel like we carry so much and it is so easy to put ourselves last or not at all. Like sometimes we don't even make the list. So I would say to make yourself a priority and to put that time on the calendar to take care of you, to get your workout in, to make food that supports your goals and your family can eat it or not. And just really prioritizing yourself and your needs, because once those are met, you're that much better mom, you're that much better friend, spouse, employee, whatever it might be. It's just so important to do that.
Mm. I think that's so important. And there's a lot of my listeners are women and they just fail to do that. And even if you're men, you guys got to do the same thing. Like
Yes,
it's
it
balance.
goes both ways.
And as you go and do these, it's as long as when you take care of yourself, you, like you said, you show up as a better person. You
Yes,
sleep better, you're less angry, your confidence grows because you can look in the mirror and be happy with who you are and what you see. Your energy is going to go up because you're filling your body properly with nutrition, you're exercising. I don't remember if we talked about it earlier at the beginning. Movement is everything. If you're moving your
yes,
body and and that comes with physically working out and things like that. You're not going to get in shape or not going to feel good if you're just watching TV all day and not moving, not getting up. And no shame if you want to watch TV here and there, but look at
sure.
what you're spending your time on. And if
Yep,
you're not spending your time on your health, that needs to be a priority because we only have
exactly.
one body.
100%. I don't know about you, but when I'm, a retired age, I want to be able to enjoy life. I want to feel good, and not have all of these health problems because I didn't take care of my body. So,
Mm. Yeah, so important. It's like if you invest in yourself now, it'll pay dividends later.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Sarah, so much for being a guest here today.
Oh, thank you, Angelina. It has been so much fun chatting with you. It's such a privilege to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Refine and Shine. We hope you find valuable insights and inspiration to fuel your journey of continuous improvement. Remember, the key to success lies in refining your processes and letting your inner brilliance shine. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. Your feedback is greatly appreciated and helps us reach more listeners like you who are eager to refine and shine in all areas of life. Stay connected with us on social media for updates and additional resources and behind the scenes content. We love hearing from our listeners, so feel free to reach out with any suggestions, questions, or success stories you'd like to share. As we wrap up, remember that the power to transform your life lies within you. Keep striving for growth, embracing change, and seeking opportunities to refine your skills. Together, let's continue to shine bright and make a positive impact in the world. Until next time, keep refining and keep shining.